I visited Swaziland at the end of a 3-month tour of Southern Africa, during which I went on a number of different road trips so I could keep the trip cheap and see as much as possible. In fact, we drove about 30,000 kilometres around South Africa, Lesotho, Botswana and Namibia, sleeping in the car or camping every night. We saw some amazing things, but it was pretty hardcore travelling, so by the time we arrived in the Kingdom of Swaziland, we were more in the mood to relax rather than seek adventure. Our first stop was to a cultural village showing how the people used to live during the 1850s, in wooden huts with fenced-off areas for cows and goats. We also got to see a couple of traditional Swazi dances, although being a show for tourists it was a bit of a shock after our more authentic experiences in Namibia, but it was a good show nonetheless. The show was especially good at the end when the audience was asked to join in. We couldn't resist the chance to white water raft down the Great Usutu River, the must-do activity in Swaziland. And I couldn't resist the chance to eat flakes, but there was a good range of grade 2 to grade 4 rapid, so it just didn't happen in our little inflatable rafts. One of the rapids was pretty big, so the guide showed us how to do it, before we showed them how to do it.
Fucking hell. Fucking
Swaziland has various social issues, so there are a large number of organisations aiming to help. So we spent the rest of our time at a fantastic project which we wanted to video for one of our Modern Explorers films.
Okie dokie. So here's my cornflakes in Swaziland moment. This is a living roof. We have come to Guba, which is a community-based garden or teaching project, basically, a combination of the two. So you can come here if you're a member of the community and learn how to grow your own food, more or less. So I've got my cornflakes, milk. So I guess this is quite a typically Swazi moment because it's so green. Swaziland is, we've really noticed, it's very wet and very green, and it's feels very alive, which is why we've chosen to do it on a living roof with very green Swaziland in the background. A few other interesting kind of things about Swaziland, which are not such nice things. They have the highest rate of AIDS in the world, or one of the highest rates in the world, which means that there are an awful lot of orphans. There's tons of orphanages around, so that's not such a nice thing. There's also a really high rate of domestic violence, which is again another thing that's secret and hidden and no one really talks about, but it's again one of the most violent places in the world. But apart from that, the people seem very friendly. It's a cool country. We're only here for 4 days, but we would really like to come back, I think, one day and visit more of these kind of projects. Oh, shite.
What?
The milk's turned to cheese.
Excellent.
Oh, okay. So it's also quite hot in Swaziland, hence milk turning to cheese. I'm gonna have to just eat them dry, I guess. Excellent. So I just went and got some milk from the kitchen. They've saved the day. So just to prove that I've eaten a bowl of cornflakes. It's actually the first time in a long time I've eaten cornflakes for breakfast. Very nice indeed.
The project encourages members of the community to use their land to learn how permaculture can be used to provide food for their families in a way that benefits the environment. They have a school for children, but also classes for adults so they can train in natural building and natural resource management, with guest speakers coming to teach about things like diet and nutrition or nutrient cycling. They are a not-for-profit organisation and all the food they grow goes to the community. To show us what a difference projects like this can make, we were invited to the garden of one of the members of the community who started going to Guba in 2013.
Wow. This looks great. So how much do you grow here? How much do you produce?
Yeah, oh well, a lot.
A lot.
Yes, a lot.
But you cannot feed your whole family. I mean, you have 9 children and 15.
No, well, I feed all my family.
Really?
Yes.
So you can feed 2 wives, 9 children, 15 grandchildren from this garden?
From this garden.
Wow.
Yes. And that outside, I used to sell.
And you sell off extras,
Yes,
all the extras?
outside. You do for yourself.
Right.
With the things, they are around you, always.
Okay.
Yes, you make a compost, you make a tea, you make something, or everything that's around you will help you and make you healthy.
So it's made you more independent. You need less money to buy things.
Yes, yes.
Now instead of getting money to buy, you pick from the garden or recycle or something.
2 to 3 years ago, price of fertilizers in the shops shot up by over 50%. And as you know, in this part of the world, in this country, especially 60% of the population is living below the poverty line. So a lot of people could not afford to go and buy a bag of fertilizer. So the number one thing with permaculture, you are trained or you are encouraged to start using natural manures, animal manures and your own compost and stuff like that. So if people will gradually grow in the process of making their own compost all the time and using animal manures, they will end up reaching a level where or a point where they don't really rely on the fertilizer they buy in the shops.
Are they also told to buy seeds? Are they?
Yes, I mean if you listen to the radio in summer, the commercials are pushing the purchasing of seeds big time. And when you listen, all the time is the hybrid seeds. All the time.
Hybrids, like genetically modified.
GMOs. All
Really?
The way.
So then you have to have the fertilizer, otherwise the plant doesn't grow. It's a trap, right?
Yeah, that's just the trap. They have trapped these people from this part of the world for the past 50 years. So I mean now, with the permaculture people like Babet Lamini, we're hoping that we're going to get a generation of people who are going to try and open the minds of many people so that they can realize they don't deserve to be in that trap.
Yeah.
There was a real revolutionary feel to all the projects we visited during the 3 months in southern Africa. For example, we visited an orphanage and school in Bloemfontein that was also teaching people from the townships how to make houses using earth building techniques and how to grow their own food. Both of these projects will be featured in more detail in the Modern Explorers film about eco-friendly and permaculture projects in southern Africa, which I will release in 2016. From Guba, we drove back to Johannesburg before flying back to Europe so I could start editing and planning for my next trip. You will find things to read and things to watch on my website if you would like to know more about my experiences in the previous 75 countries I visited before Swaziland.